Well, it's a brand new year, a brand new season, and we can't wait to give you all the coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. It's the Stars and Stripes Season 6 here at Daytona for the Great American Race as the drivers are set and being prepared. Practice underway currently, and I cannot wait for it. Hopefully you are as well at home. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me is Zach Hall. And Zach, The holidays are over. Our break is done. It's time to get back to racing action.
That it is, Sam. Glad to be back here, man, for some Stars and Stripes action. And yeah, what a crazy start here for Season 6. They always start it with Daytona here at Stars and Stripes. And, you know, what's the cool process I think that we get to come into with this season is this will be the first time that they've ran the same car in a second season. So Season 1 here at the Stars and Stripes series started in this ARCA car, and now here on Season 6 they're come back to it. So it's been since October 8th of 2020 when they last ran an ARCA race. So I'm excited to see how the transition goes from that next gen cup car.
And your eyes don't deceive you. You are seeing some throwback schemes as well. These drivers all got themselves situated this season on trying to figure out what number they were going to be and what scheme they're going to be running, as there are tons of throwback schemes. And I think, Zach, that's what's going to make this season so much fun. And maybe we have to be careful on ourselves. They're running actual schemes that were ran back in 2003. The majority of these drivers are running 2003 schemes. Some are older, some are newer. But man, does it look good to be seeing these older schemes back out on Daytona.
That it really does, Sam. I mean, it's going to definitely throw us for a loop. We're so used to the numbers the guys ran before, the paint schemes they ran. But just give us a little bit of time and we'll get used to these amazing schemes that really bring back, you know, that old flavor of NASCAR that so many people enjoyed, those mid-2000s. So I can't wait to see what action unfolds. But, you know, with Daytona the start here tonight, it's always going to be a wild one, especially with how many cars we have here tonight. Plenty of them out there in the field, even a lot of newcomers. I'm telling you, it's going to be a great way to start. And even just it being the first race, you know, you can say it's the first race. There's not too much on the line. This is only the first one. But if you go out here and win tonight and you can complete 13 of the 15 regular season races, you will lock yourself into those playoffs. And that'll be a valuable spot because there's only 12 of them.
And also with coming into this season and with us coming back to the ARCA car, looking back at the stats, there are only that of 9 drivers that started all the way back in that original season that are still racing in this season alone. We'll touch on them more, but underway qualifying is going to start here in just about a minute and 15 seconds. This is Season 6. Last season, an incredible one as they were testing out the next-gen Cup car, where we got to see that of Ken Campbell finally hoisting that of the championship, breaking the streak that of Kyle McCoy had, as Kyle had to step away on that final race of the season. Now we're excited to see how will Kyle McCoy come back and try to get himself a championship. We've also had that of Scott Rickard, the truck season 2 champion here. Or Zach, could we see a brand new champion going back with the car? Because most of these drivers with the new rookie class and as well with a lot of newcomers that we never got to see in this vehicle, there's a lot of unknowns with 30 seconds left here in practice.
Yeah, man, I tell you, there is a lot of unknowns. Yeah, I definitely want to see what Kyle McCoy can do. I mean, in that Season 1 championship here in the ARCA car, he got 9 wins. So can he, you know, bring that same type of dominance? It's going to be a lot tougher, I think, with just how much the competition level has stepped up here throughout these 5 previous seasons and into the 6th. So it's going to be amazing to watch who can, you know, break out here early, but definitely some big names to watch, and definitely a great way to start the season here at this Super Speedway.
As these drivers, for us here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, we covered that of the season back when they were in covering the Xfinity cars, the Gen 6 Cup car, and also the Gen 7 that of the next Gen Cup car. Now in this ARCA machine, we get to see how well they can test their skills at qualifying. Practice is done. Randy Cornwell is going to be having the fastest time, but can he translate that to now solo speed? Most of those practice times were when they were in the draft, trying to perfect how they were going to work with one another. Now into qualifying, Zach, what are we expecting to see in these Xfinity cars? I mean, in these ARCA cars.
all good there, Sam. Yeah, definitely still a change up for us. But yeah, it's you know, interesting here how the World Center of Racing and Talladega have changed up for qualifying for iRacing. We normally have seen that you want to take 2 laps to get up to, or that first lap to get up to speed, run the outside line, which is the farthest distance around the racetrack, which helps maintain and build up that speed because these engines are restricted. So that means the horsepower and power is cut down with a restrictor plate. And, you know, we used to do that, but lately it seems that that first lap has been the fastest way to go in most vehicles. I'm interested to see if that transfers over into this ARCA car. So We'll see if people attempt that, just the outside line here, heading down to 3 and 4 as we're watching Dylan Grimm in the 17 machine. Will he drop straight to the bottom, or will he elect to take that farthest way around on the first lap to try to build up that momentum? But it's definitely going to be one of those questions you got to make. But this is a track where you have to be smooth with the wheel and you never lift. It is wide open, full bore, and if you're very smooth with that wheel, not cranking on it too hard left and right, you won't scrub that speed off. That takes away that critical mile per hour.
And we're not seeing that of Dylan Grimm dropping down immediately this first lap. He is going to be doing the traditional ramping it up in this 2003 Matt Kenseth throwback scheme of the DeWalt. Excited to see how well he can run in this scheme right now, but still staying high, trying to build up that momentum. There's a couple of other drivers that are thinking about staying high as well, but that first lap could be an impactful one as some are deciding to stay down at the yellow line. Others riding the wall like we're seeing the 17 do here. And Dylan Grimm, a driver that's performed well at super speedways. We'll see if he can capture the crown as he's going to be coming down, dropping to that yellow line. First lap is in. Patrick Hastings going to be taking that first time for the 4 for the 17 machine. Here we go. It's the money lap for Dylan Grimm.
Yeah, he drops it down to this bottom lane. This is going to be the shortest distance around the racetrack. That way it's going to be a little bit quicker than running all the way towards the top. So we'll see if that extra lap of building up that speed, will it be critical towards that phase here when he comes back around to that checkered flag for his qualifying lap. So we've seen a few guys elect, it seems like, to run that fast lap on the first one. We'll see what is the difference. That's going to be always the money question, because I know some people are still leaning on that side of doing the first lap on the very outside, but I know that one lap right on the bottom is seeming to be the way to go for most people, but it could possibly be Dylan Grimm's chance here as he comes straight to the start-finish line.
Dylan Grimm, after his first lap, was going to be taking that 9th place position, but coming down, dropping on the apron just slightly, and it's going to be top of the board for that of the 17 machine, making it work for himself, and also seeing some other drivers topping the board, moving up. Scott Rickard going to be up to 2nd, as well as seeing the 48 machine, but it's Andrew Medlin stealing it here just in the blink of an eye.
And what a lap, too. I mean, when you're playing a game of hundredths here of a second here at Daytona, it really shows up there. As right now, Andrew Medlin and Jason Gratton have put a good sizable gap back to the rest of the field with a 49-47 for both of those drivers. And Andrew Medlin just taking it by a couple thousandths, but Kevin O'Keefe, the newcomer, takes the top time there also, as we see if anybody else can snatch it away from that 23.
There's still about that of 10 drivers that could potentially put a time in. Some have not even started their first lap, but there's a group of about 8 that are on their second lap. We'll see if that can change up, as it's going to be seeing the 88 on screen. That Brandon Missick going to be coming across the line, hoping for his numbers to bounce out. He was 18th, only able to move up to 16th, just 2 positions. Here comes another cluster of drivers trying to beat that of Kevin O'Keefe's time, and it doesn't look like anyone is really showing that maximum speed. The driver that was fastest during practice, not able to beat that time. Randy Cornwell, only 20th on the board. Kyle Bowling cracks into the top 10, 6 for himself, as drivers flying across the line. Just that of 8. Still, if they want to, they've got 30 seconds to finish out at least one more lap.
Yeah, they got to get ready to do that in a hurry, because if you don't get that second lap in, which it seems like being the money lap it is, you're not going to be in the greatest starting spot. But here at Daytona and Talladega, the super speedway racetracks, you do have that chance to pass. There's always that opportunity. I mean, looking back to season 1, they had 26 lead changes, and that's just for the lead. So you can think how much movement there's going to be throughout the field here tonight. But right now, it looks like Kevin O'Keefe still holding on to that spot. We'll see if anybody can grab it away here in the final second, but it doesn't look like it.
Last driver come across the line, the 22 of Brian Lynch, only able to move up about 5 positions for himself. But just like that, practice is out of the way, qualifying is done. It's time for us up at the booth. Let's take a look at where the drivers will start here tonight for the Daytona 200 for the Stars and Stripes Season 6. The way it starts off with the 23 of Kevin O'Keefe, the newcomer for Season 6. He'll be taking that pole award with Andrew Medlin to his outside. Zach Kreitz going to be in 3rd place with Jason Bratton in 4th. Timmy McNally going to be in 5th with that of Kyle Bowling in 6th position. Dylan Grimm taking 7th. Joshua Robinson, one of the favorites after last season. Rookie of the Year sensation, going to be starting in 8th place. Scott Rickard, the Season 2 champ, going to be starting in 9th. And 10th place goes to that of Thomas Ogle.
We got a newcomer in the 11th position. That's Brian Scalise. Then 12th, we'll also have another Brian Chu. 13th is going to go to Christopher Wade, a previous Daytona winner last season here in the next gen car. Next, we have also another newcomer in the 77 machine. And 14th, that is Diego Valle. 15th is going to go to the 2 of Mike Lynch. 16th place is going to be Dylan Glass. 17th is going to go to Ed Perry, also another newcomer. 18th is going to be Nate Lynch. 19th is going to go to Brian Lynch. And rounding out that top 20 is Doug Pierce.
And it's the 88 of Brandon Messick going to be taking 21st position with Patrick Hastings in 22nd. 23rd goes to George Kovacic. Randy Cornwell going to be taking that 24th position. Newcomer Zachary Nelson going to be taking 25th spot. 26th goes to that of Andrew Hess. Ross Tatum going to be in 27th position. 28th is that of Aaron Hale with Trey Jackson in 29th. 30th goes to Will Bustler. Final 2 spots going to be that of Derek Offerman as well as Jonathan Woods. 32 drivers going to be setting up to take the green here this evening. And Zach, it is so exciting. Our offseason is done. 2022 came to a conclusion 5 days ago, but the new year, new drivers, new cars, and we are about to get rolling.
That we are, Sam. It's so exciting. You can feel really the excitement boiling over right here as they sit on the grid and as that iRacing pace car finally gets the takeoff time, and we'll get to see how this all kicks off with Kevin O'Keefe leading us to the green. His first career race here at Stars and Stripes. What a lap from him. I'm sure he'll be able to make a big name for himself this season here. If he can start it off this way with a bang and get a win, that would be a great way to do it. But he's going to have 31 other drivers that are hungry and know every single chance is available to him here tonight at the Daytona International Speedway. So we'll have to see how it all works out. Now, when it comes down to strategy, because they do not have no stage breaks here at Stars and Stripes, it is a straight 80 laps. If it stays green, they stick with it. There's going to be no competition cautions or anything like that. So man, I tell you, strategy could come right into the picture around lap 40, because when it comes to fuel, I think that's where these guys are sitting, is right above that 40 marker. So we should be able to see a one stopper here tonight if this race was to stay green. But I tell you what, that caution flag is waiting at any little opportunity to come out and fly, because this place is always known to get very wild.
It's going to get wild. It's going to get crazy, and we're going to do something a little bit special. We're just about to go green. Let's talk to one driver, get their thoughts. Pulling up into the booth, Timmy McNally, sorry to take you away. How are you feeling? We're about to go green.
I'm good, man. Excited to get this new season started.
We're excited for that, Timmy. I know we're about to go green. We'll send you back, but good luck here tonight.
Thanks, boys.
As a quick just report, we're going to be trying to get more driver interviews throughout the night if we get a lot of yellows. But man, are these drivers ready? And so are we up in the booth. The Daytona 200, a spectacular finish last season. What will we see here tonight? They're in the ARCA cars. They're in brand new schemes. And a new season is now green. As here we go, rolling down into turn number 1. It's Kevin O'Keefe, Andrew Medlin leading both lanes as they head to turn number 1.
Yeah, great start from that bottom lane to Kevin O'Keefe. He's got a little bit of a gap back to the 9 of Zach Kreitz there, but it's the 8 car, Jason Gratton, in that top lane behind Andrew Medlin, that 18. He's right on the rear bumper, and he's going to be trying to give that shove and that power and momentum to that top lane. We'll see if that is what propels him down the back straightaway here, as now Medlin does take a nose lead here.
Medlin taking the nose lead as he's rolling in that Bobby Labonte 18 scheme, and he's got the driver that, if you want any scheme at a super speedway, it's this one. It's the driver in the 8 Dale Earnhardt Jr. scheme. It is that of Jason Gratton rolling on the outside, trying to get some help from that of the 24 of Kyle Bowling in the Jeff Gordon scheme, and here they come on the outside. Who will lead lap number 1? It's side by side between Medlin and that of Gratton, and Medlin taking the nose for lap number 1.
It is a beautiful sight to see those schemes, Sam. I tell you what, it's definitely giving me a little bit of nostalgia here, looking back at all these amazing schemes out here on the track, hitting the high banks of Daytona. And Jason Gratton there with that great push to Medlin was able to get him to the lead. And Gratton's trying to start off his season with a bang, just like he ended it, man. He was definitely the underdog when it came to that final 4 of the drivers that made it in the playoffs to that final race. But I tell you what, if he can start off tonight well, he could be looking for a great season.
He certainly would be, as we're riding on board the 12 machine of Tim McNally, getting a sense of what it's like to be following these drivers in these ARCA machines. Certainly a little bit different from the next, from that of the Gen 7 Cup car that we've seen for the majority of last year. But already the shuffling, trying to hold your line. And Zach, riding on board this 12, you certainly could sense how claustrophobic it is out there tonight.
Yeah, you could really just see how not far ahead you could see. You can really only see the car in front of you and the car to your outside. I mean, it makes you very much kind of have to judge everything based on callouts from certain drivers, your spotter, if you have a live spotter with you, or even just, predicting it. It's really tough sometimes when that stuff happens. And this car, too, is also very, very tough when it comes to pushing. I mean, the noses of them are very slanted. They almost do like a wedge style pushing where it can get up under the bumper and lift those rear tires off the ground. When we don't have the rear tires on the ground, bad things can happen, folks. So we're going to have to watch out for some pretty naughty bump drafts out there, but you're going to need to do it if you want to get that good speed build up.
I mean, for me coming into this, we don't really get to see very many ARCA series coverage on that of iRacing for leagues or broadcasts. And I got to say, driver that's looking pretty consistent on the bump drafting is the 23 on the inside. Kevin O'Keefe, he is looking very smooth when he gets to the 18's bumper, but a little bit of a shimmy there. Bad exit out of the corner. All that momentum, you could just see it being lost in the outside lane, just takes off like a rocket ship on the backstretch.
Yeah, it's amazing to see the difference of the speed when you lift here at Daytona. The 23 got to the inside of that 18. He tried to let him back in, so he lifted a little bit. That checked the whole lineup. Then the 24 now, he takes advantage of it there. Kyle Bolin jumps down to the bottom lane, leaving out Jason Gratton on that high line, and he'll take the lead in that number 24 machine. So, yeah, just like that, he takes a hold of that opportunity, and it just shows you that's how you got to do it here at Daytona. When that lane that is on your opposite end gets a little bit of a checkup, you got to take advantage of it and make the passes while you can.
You taking advantage, you could give it to the 11 of Randy Cornwell. He has been moving up that of 16 positions from where he qualified. He's been the one driver forcing the issue. 3 wide once again on the backstretch, and he's trying to carve his way forward, but now trapped and mired in the middle, but still forcing the issue. He's got the draft help from Gratton, and here comes the 11 right to the back bumper.
Yeah, Sam, I was watching that same thing. The 11 was really kind of muscling his way through there. He was sticking it in the middle, making it 3 wide, side drafting down the back straightaway just to get on the quarter panel of that driver right beside him. So, yeah, Randy Cornwell leaving no prisoners out there, now up into the 4th position and trying to push that 8 forward so maybe he can look to get out front. And I know from past experience with Randy in other series, he is aggressive, so he is known to, not really wait around. He's going to go out there and try to get this lead straight from the get-go, and he's definitely made up a bunch of spots already.
And riding on board with that Randy Cornwell in this 11 machine, getting up with his teammate. I mean, you might be wondering, why was he riding where he was at right now? Why did he get so much help from the 8 machine? Well, the main reason was due to the fact that their teammates, the 8 and the 11, they're from that of Green White Checkered Racing, and that is a factor we're going to be seeing here a lot tonight. The team effort. How are you going to work with your teammates and get in line so you can maximize your speed together?
Yeah, the team aspect of Daytona is so important. If you have someone will go with you in all situations, then you kind of have that. It's just, someone almost like they have a hand on your shoulder just saying, I got you. Because when you don't have that, you're kind of making moves and hoping things happen, and hope will only take you so far. You got to have that help. And it's all about the teamwork here and teamwork when it comes to here at Daytona. So we'll see which teams can kind of formulate that. We got 2 up there up high. I know Kyle Bowling and Kevin O'Keefe, those 2 are teammates, but they do have Medlin in the middle of those 2. So we'll see if they can maybe get Medlin in that 18 rooted out of this groove and maybe get lined up on their bumpers.
But there's a lot of drivers throughout the field that are trying to figure out how do you move forward, how do you go back. Some drivers that have moved forward in the middle of this group, see the 21, that's Ross Tatum. He's up 9 positions as well behind him. Going to be seeing some drivers trying to assist in the best that possible. Going to be that of riding in the 6 machine. That's Will Bustler, who's trying to figure out how to work with the 21 machine on the outside, but majority of this group all still collected with one another. Every driver of the 31 that started here tonight are in this lead pack in some way. As we hop on board with that of the 6 machine, Will Bustler trying to figure out how do you help your teammate, especially when you're in this point, Zach. I mean, where can you go if you're wanting to move forward, or you just sit where you're at?
This early in the race, 8 laps in, completed now. Will Bustler sitting here in this 20th position with his teammate right there in front of Ross Tatum in 19th. You got options. We've seen Randy Cornwell. He took every option available to him. He saw, you see the middle lane here, for example. It is open. It is there for the taking, but you are making a very interesting decision this early in the race to kind of take that risk. Now, they do have one fast repair, and they only have that on the super speedways and the road courses. So that is a little bit different aspect than what their normal races are. But you do have that one, a chance to get in an incident and repair your car fully back to brand new. So we'll see if that opportunity becomes available. But I think a lot of drivers right now, like Will Bustler, Ross Tatum, they're just sitting back here waiting for the opportunity to open up, or even waiting for that big one. That's what I know a lot of drivers look for, is saying, let them take themselves out and go ahead and use that fast repair up. Then where I will be in a better position later in this race to be aggressive.
And moving up to a driver that is running a scheme, if you want to run a scheme at this type of an era, the 48. This is Brian, gotta say, excited to see this rookie class. How are they going to run? I know tonight going to be a little bit difficult to judge the rookie class, but Zach, still, Daytona, anyone's got an opportunity, but the rookie class that we saw last season, incredible. It felt like there were 4 or 5 rookies that all had a threat to win the championship. Now this class, they've got a lot to live up to after last season.
That they do. I mean, it seemed like 2 seasons in a row here, the past 2, that rookies kind of came in and shook everything up, as people would say. So I'm interested to see, what these rookies do. Brian's definitely in a scheme, like you said, Sam, that if you want to be running one of these mid-2000 schemes, that 48 is the right one to be in for sure if you're looking for a good night. So we'll see how that works out for him. But we also got the 77 of Diego Valle out there. He's right now back there in around the 20th position on this bottom lane behind the 2 of Mike Lynch. So trying to, right now ride in position, but this is good to be learning right now, figuring out your competition, because that's one thing as a newcomer here in these leagues. You got to figure out how everybody races. You got to figure out who you got to give a little bit more room to and who you don't. So, it's one of those things that it's going to take time, but we could see one of those rookies strike here tonight.
How will the rookies develop throughout the season? Going to be something to talk about. Another rookie that's actually deep in the field in 29th position, that's Jonathan Woods, who's actually a part of the Ross Tatum, as well as the 6 machine of Will Bustler. Deep in the field, decided not to put a time down and automatically set him all the way back in last place. This 41 gonna have the toughest task and the toughest hill to climb to move all the way up to that lead position. We're 12 laps in, only has moved up 2 spots, but seems like he's around the field. That's okay with where they're running right now.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a decision-based thing where I was talking about earlier. Some drivers are going to have that decision to say, I'm going to sit back and kind of wait it out. It's still early in this race, only 12 laps in here. Now starting lap number 13 of 80. We're looking at most likely only 1 pit stop here tonight, so you still got to get to that pit stop before the race kind of gets down to where you're saying, okay, I got to probably be in a better position now. So we'll see if this group back here elects to do that, but it'll be a very interesting time to watch. But as we jumped up to that 42 of Ed Perry, he's also a newcomer too, so we'll see. Plenty of rookies out there tonight. Could it be their night tonight? It's always available to them when it comes to Daytona for sure.
Plenty of classic schemes out there, and if you're out in the chat, vote. Who do you think's gonna win tonight? Put it in the chat. Who are you rooting for? And also, who's got the best scheme? There's so many good classic ones. If I've got to vote for one, I think it's Zachary Nelson running back in 25th position. That is probably my favorite scheme of the night. Reason being, it's Kurt Busch scheme, and it's a classic one. I'm a huge fan of Kurt Busch, and I think that he's probably gonna have one of the better schemes to watch out for throughout the season.
It's a great looking scheme for sure. I tell you, it's a tall order to pick one out of all of these cars. I gotta say, man, these schemes are just so nostalgic to me. It brings back my childhood, and I'm sure so many drivers. So I cannot wait to see, maybe even some of these guys bring out, the alternates of these drivers' schemes. So, we're seeing just right now what they brought, but there's so many, schemes available to them at these numbers. So it's going to be a fun time to see how it all shakes out through the rest of the season, and we get to learn each driver's, skill level even. So right now, as we jump up to that 29, Dylan Glass, he's definitely not a newcomer. He's definitely been a driver that's known to, get wins before. So we'll see how he works it out here as he's in that top group right now in the 12th position.
And I talked about there being 9 drivers coming into the season that raced back in that original Season 1 Daytona race. Well, Dylan Glass, one of those drivers, he actually finished 10th in that race. The highest finisher of all of those 9 drivers was actually Mike Lynch, finished 3rd. Now, you look through the rest of this field, there's a lot of drivers that we know have been strong in these last couple of seasons, but they weren't here in the ARCA series. Such a different vehicle and car. We've touched on some of the small changes and details works that these drivers get to manage for themselves. But Zach, I know when we talk about super speedway racing in other series, tire wear really has been something that has grown to be a lot more of an issue for some vehicles if you want to have that grip. What are you expecting on the tire wear side of things for these drivers if we have to make that one and only pit stop?
Well, they're definitely probably most likely going to be looking to change those tires for sure. And, sometimes when we go to these super speedway tracks, you will see where people take 2 tires. But with how much fuel they got to put in there, there's not going to be too much of a time advantage gained from taking less tires. But like you said, Sam, the tire wear is picking up in these super speedways, and especially in this style of car, this Gen 4 body style of the ARCA car, it really wears tires. The downforce levels are lower, so you're sliding more on the racetrack. The car is not as glued to the racing surface, so you have that rubber really causing a lot of friction on this asphalt. So these tires are going to wear. And I think another factor you got to throw into that, it's 120 degrees when it comes to the track temp out here, so it is definitely a hot day here in Daytona.
I mean, you look at the weather conditions now on your right side, how this track temp is evolving. Like I said, 120 degrees is the track temp of that ambient temperature. It's partly cloudy, 74 degrees. The wind going northeast of that of 7 miles per hour. It is shifting up, and it's a little bit of trying to figure out how that weather is going to change and evolve with these drivers. Because if the wind goes screaming up, that's going to affect how the rear end's going to work for these drivers. Could make it a little bit more loose at times, and could make the straightaway speed a little bit faster in the backstretch or the front stretch on differing on how the speed and the speed of the wind and direction of the wind is going. But man, if you're wanting any more assistance on the weather, because that's a big factor, or on fuel, there's a great place to go get yourself some great products, and that is iRacing iFlag. iRacing iFlag, ladies and gentlemen, is got a great products for you. They've got their patented iFlag virtual flag system, but as well the digital pit board. The digital pit board can give you weather conditions, how much fuel you have left in your car, and so much more data and information as a driver that can help you assist to be the best you can be out there on track. Go use our promo code FreakyFast2022 today as the start of lap 19 of 80 begins. And Zach, already, we were expecting a lot of passing going on. Right now, it is the 8 and the 11, the teammates leading the way up front.
Yeah, dominating both lines right now is Jason Grattan and Randy Cornwell. So that's always a good sign from a team there because, it gives you that opportunity to kind of control the race. It doesn't, where if you get a big push from that top side, you kind of make sure you don't clear enough to where the next car will clear to get in between y'all. So we'll see if Randy Cornwell can try to get down low with Grattan, but I think right now they like that position. They like both leading the lanes, but at some point, I wonder if it happens before the pit stops. Everybody's being pretty smart right now, just holding 2 lanes. When will we see that 3rd lane open up? When will we see somebody try to go to the top or go to that middle lane? So it is definitely there, and the option is available to them, but I still think every driver out here is fearing what could come from those type of moves.
Yeah, and those moves, I mean, certainly practice, they were testing it out, but also I know we were talking about it before we went live on the practice race that these drivers had on trying to get as much knowledge as possible. This isn't a car that's ran a lot. It is the ARCA car in the official iRacing kind of shift of that there is a series that's ran weekly, but they don't always go to a super speedway racetrack, so drivers got to get as much knowledge as they can at these practice stages.
That they do, Sam, and I kind of brought it up earlier about how the nose and the bumper works on this car. We see the trucks, the Next Gen Cup Series cars, the Xfinity cars. All of those cars have something very similar to them, and what they have is a very flat bumper and a very flat nose that really match up very well. It's kind of like a puzzle piece, hooking together. It really matches well to where pushing is kind of easy, as some would say. But when it comes to these cars, you look at those front ends of those noses, they're so slanted. And even that bumper, it's lifted really high up in the air. It's almost like sticking a wedge up underneath that car. And like I said before, you can lift those rear tires up, and that's where problems start to come in. So I think a little bit of these drivers are still learning the bump drafting technique that you have to do in these cars. You can't just slam into somebody and expect it to work. You got to kind of roll into that push. You got to line those bumpers up and let them, initially grab before, you get in trouble. Because I tell you what, if you just try to drive through someone and hope it propels them forward, you're most likely going to propel them around.
And drivers that have already made that mistake of not giving the proper push, that of Brandon Missick in the 88 machine and the 4 of Patrick Hastings had a little bit of an issue about that 3 laps ago. 88 gave a bad bump to the 4, got him loose completely sideways, did not bring out a caution, but the 4 completely off the pace. The 88 has just lost the draft of the lead pack, and Trey Jackson was the one major victim that had to lose the draft to make sure he didn't ruin his race car, but now is stuck with the 4. These drivers, 18 seconds off the lead pack. They've got a lot of space that they need to work with, but right now, just based off that last lap that they just put down, already a full second, if not 2 seconds slower than the lead group.
Yeah, like you brought up, Sam, they're going to be so much slower than that lead pack, and they're going to fall into the clutches of that lead pack very quickly at 2 seconds a lap slower. So these guys are going to have to hope for something, and that's really all you can do here at Daytona. You got to keep the floor to the, all the way, or the throttle all the way to the floor, and just make sure you try to make as best time as you possibly can. Because look at this pack; they're flying down this back straightaway, heading into 3 and 4 here, while those guys are still going through 1 and 2. So they'll quickly be caught by this pack here, and the tricky situation gets there is then you're going to be battling for the lucky dog with that driver that you're back there trying to push to stay on that lead lap. So the only thing they have a hope for right now is we get some type of yellow to bring them back in, because right now they are in no man's land.
They truly are, as the lead group still staying side by side. Different shimmying and shuffling for the drivers in the back half of this group that got to be careful. Losing the draft, we've already seen that of the 88, and others lose the draft because of bad bumps, but we're having that of Derek Offerman as well as Diego Vela going to be back here, 27th, 28th position. Those 2 drivers, I'm curious on how can you react here, Zach, because you don't want to lose the draft. The draft seems like the toe, very easy to stay, but at the same time, there is an easy chance of a bad checkup. You can lose the draft very quickly.
Yeah, it's so tough, because when you're that driver that's, last in line, like Derek Offerman here, for example, like you said, Sam, if there is a checkup, he has no one behind him to really, try to get him back up to momentum. If he has a checkup to where he has to really slow down and he can't get back up to speed, and he falls without that distance of that toe, as they say, it will be a long night for him also as he drops back from that pack. So as that last car, you want to be in a good position, because you're probably most likely sitting back here for a reason, trying to stay out of any trouble, but you don't want to put yourself in more trouble by losing that pack. So you got to stay tucked up behind them and watch out for those checkups, because it can easily really separate you from the pack. And it's looking like that back half is having a portion of checkups, so it's definitely interesting to watch there, as that 22 is trying to hold on to it of Brian Lynch.
And the driver I actually want to hop on board with if we can. That's an 18th place, Christopher Wade. Christopher Wade coming into this season, driving in the brand new car, the 15. Christopher Wade has the most starts of anyone in this series, 97 coming in tonight, make it 98 with starting. This driver hoping for a good finish for himself. He finished that as 6th when they ran this car back in season 1. Running in this 15 car, hoping that the luck can rub off, that he can get a top 2, if not a win, here at Daytona.
Yeah, he's had classically, very good speedway races.
Oh no, it's going to be the 12. Timmy McNally gets thrown down in the pit wall, and he's going to be slamming hard into the inside wall. No yellow flag comes out as he's down on the apron. We stay green, and Timmy McNally, who we got to talk with a little bit for a quick question, just get his thoughts coming into this race. In the 12, has to trickle his way into pit road, hard contact for himself.
That is a tough break for him, and that really separated the pack up, and it looks like he's going to go ahead and come down to the pit box. So interesting call there for him as we jump back with our pack. Looks like everybody's gotten back somewhat up to speed, but just like that, that's how fast things can happen in Daytona, even when you are too wide. So we'll see if he can recover from that, but he's most likely here going to go a lap down and possibly even more, depending on where he comes out on the track, to see if he has help. So right now, Timmy McNally is in a dire situation.
And goes a lap down now as he's back out on track. Had to use his fast repair. I'm imagining after that contact, something broke on the wheel that forced him to have to use that fast repair. Nothing on the required flag window that we were given. And when you're given a required flag, you have to come to pit road and get damage repaired. The 12 Obviously, just had too much damage. Had to use up that fast repair. Now banking on a yellow to come out. And if it does now, we'll get the lucky dog spot as he is the only driver a lap down. But now the question is, Zach, we've seen now there's been 2 incidences. No yellow has come out. Now the driver's got to be thinking in the back of their head, hey, if I'm caught up in a wreck, I better hope that a yellow flag comes out.
Yeah, they're definitely going to be feeling that way for sure because, we've already seen it, like you said, with 2 incidents where it doesn't bring out that yellow, and then you just get, stuck in the back where you're just going to keep falling back perpetually as you lose time to this pack where the majority of the speed is being built up. So it's a tough ordeal. You're going to have to try, as a driver not to get in those incidents. But if you are in one of those incidents, you're going to really hope that that yellow flag will save you. But I tell you who's really been making a good bit of moves here as we look up to this front pack. That 10 machine of Joshua Robinson with the help of that 31 of Thomas Ogle, those two have driven their way up into the top, the top 4 here as they lead that outside lane with Randy Cornwell now in front of his teammate Jason Gratton.
Absolutely been looking good, and they've been staying stable on the outside lane, kind of allowing that Cornwell and Gratton to both just slowly merge down, which is now given this 10 and also the 32 the top positions on the outer groove. They're also going to be having that of Brian Chu, a driver that seems to struggle when we go to non-super speedway tracks, but the super speedway is where this 43 has found himself a lot of speed, and here comes the momentum off the back of turn 2. The backstretch just dominated by this outside lane.
Yeah, the backstretch here is where all that big run that they got off of 2 really amounted there, as they got a huge push there from that back straightaway. So great job there as Robinson. Now you see through the corner, that inside lane will pull back forward, but if that energy comes back from the outside, they should be able to get another nice run. But it seems like that inside did a good job of continuing that energy forward. So right now, Randy Cornwell still holding on to that lead. But, you brought up Brian Chu. Definitely, that is definitely something I think we need to watch for, is because there's been 5 races here at Daytona before, and with the Stars and Stripes series, 5 different winners. Brian Chu is one of the drivers here that has won before. He won in season 2 with the trucks, and then last season we had Christopher Wade in season 5 win. So we do have 2 drivers possibly that could be the first 2-time winners here at Daytona, but it's definitely going to be interesting to see how that all shakes out here tonight, as Chu definitely is doing great at the super speedways.
He is looking great for himself, with Dylan Glass going to be that 4th driver in line on the outside. The one of Nate Lynch going to be the 5th car on the outside, and that's Steve Parks, number 1 Pennzoil machine, as you also see some vehicles that we have not seen on iRacing ever, it feels like. Dodges out there on track. Drivers got templates to put the Dodge machines out there, as the ARCA cars are all similar in that of their templates on how they're worked with, but you can kind of change them around, and it's fun to see drivers having some fun with their graphics and adding Dodge out there on track.
It definitely is, Sam, because, that is the one thing that's cool about this ARCA Menards car. I mean, it is technically an ARCA Menards Impala car, but I tell you what, the biggest thing for, that is you can change it around with the ability of, great programs like Trading Paints out there for iRacing. You can throw on a different decal, and you can make it look like it's a Dodge, and that does give it that more immersive feel, I guess you could say. And it definitely adds to these paint schemes that these guys are running. So it's cool to see that as they continue to shuffle here in this pack.
Scott Rickard, 32 machine, mired in the middle of this pack currently, and dead center middle. I mean, Zach, it feels like if you're a driver, you either want to be fighting up in the top 6 or all the way in the back. Dead center middle is not the most comfortable spot, but Scott Rickard, he has certainly been uncomfortable after last season's, could say, kind of underperformance. We were expecting a lot from this 32 machine. Didn't show out as well as we thought. This season, I think a rebound is what we're expecting from this 32.
It'll be interesting to see how that plays out for him, because like you said, I don't think it went the way he thought it was. It started off well, it just didn't end well near the end of the season. So we'll see, can Scott Rickard get back to that form? But I think, like you brought up before, this is the hornet's nest of the racetrack, and he is right now probably, he feels comfortable, definitely, because these guys are doing a good job. They're keeping a good bit of space, and there's nobody really taking too many huge risks. But all it takes is one missed push that we've already seen twice here tonight happen, and it could be the big one. And usually when you're in that middle part of, that field, that is where the big one usually kind of unfolds. So we'll see if Scott Rickard can try to get himself up there farther forward. But I think he's going to think on to the next couple weeks of how he can open his season up.
got record right now, going to be in that of the Grimm Roberts Racing team, and he's got his teammate behind him to work with, and that's something that's always nice to be feeling for yourself, is when you've got a teammate to work with. Excuse me, that's Ron's horse garage that he's racing with. He's got that of Mike Lynch right in behind in this a Miller Lite Rusty Wallace machine, and just lingering behind, giving space and kind of waiting to see how this group's going to run, because we are closing in on halfway very closely here, Zach. And you were saying this race could turn into a one-stop once we get to the halfway marker. And no, we're not going to get there in time. Caution flag waves, wrecking in the back. It's the 22 and 26 position. Brian Lynch brings out our first caution of the day.
That it was, man. That is unfortunate break there, as that's the first yellow right before pit stops. It looks like Dylan Grimm, Brian Lynch there involved in it, also the 66 of George Kovacic. So 3 drivers there involved in that incident, but just happened that quick.
We were just going to talk about potentially, staying green, but it's going to be a simple just accordion effect. Drivers checking up on the entry of the corner. 17, Dylan Grimm was not notified, hits the 22, and then the rest of the field goes for a ride. The 20, Derek Offerman trying to stay high, but it's the 66 of George Kovacic just about to get clipped here by the 17, and away he goes for a spin.
Just an unfortunate timing there for Kovacic, man. He almost missed that wreck. And you can see they're trying to still hold on as it goes down the bank, and now going to possibly come back up. And now Dylan Grimm, the driver who got into him before, going to be put into the outside wall with Kovacic sliding back up the racetrack. And really those two kind of taking the worst of it is the 22 Brian Lynch. He kind of just went for a spin, but it seems like, the damage is not too bad on these cars. So we'll have to see what they get worked on there, and hopefully not have to use a fast repair.
Crazy to see, as we're going to ride on board with the 22 of Brian Lynch and kind of get his viewing. We talked about how difficult it is to see, and there was a small window where he's trekking up because he saw that momentum, but just nowhere to go with a 17 closing in. And when you're not getting told over the radio, check up ahead, that is a difficult response on how you're supposed to deal.
It definitely is, Sam. It can be so tough to kind of judge that because, again, we talked about the view is not the greatest from the driver's seat. You cannot see too far ahead of you. And, all of a sudden the 22 kind of checks up because he's seeing what's happening in front of him. Dylan Grimm can't see that, and he kind of just, unfortunately, is too close to check up, gets right in that back bumper, and it kind of does what I was talking about. It's kind of like a wedge. You shove that nose right up underneath that bumper. It lifts the rear end up, and these things go around. So, tough break there. But here, interesting pit stops because, I think still at this point, it still is, they should be good on fuel here to the end of the race, but it could be closer for sure.
It certainly is going to be a race to see who can get this thing done. As our first caution is out of the way, we're close to halfway for ourselves. We know some drivers got to get their lap back, and for us, we're going to take our first commercial break here for that on Stars and Stripes Series, Season 6, the Daytona 200. We have been green for over 35 laps, and then our caution breaks out. But you won't miss a thing from here on out as we're going to go side by side. We'll see you in just a few. We'll see you on the other side. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, at the Daytona 200 as they come across the line. Lap 40 has started out of 80. We've had one caution so far here tonight, a bad checkup, and got some drivers involved. But we are now back to green flag racing. 31 drivers are on the lead lap as Timmy McNally got the lucky dog and leading the way. That's not Dylan Hart Jr. That's Jason Gratton running the 8 machine with that of Andrew Medlin trying to give him a bump. And on the outside, it's the 11 of Randy Cornwell trying to get some assistance from Brian Chu as you are watching the Stars and Stripes Season 6 action. First race of the season on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name's Sam Dyer, and we almost just saw the big one, Zach, as our front two almost made contact.
Oh, that was so close there. Medlin just drifted a little high off the corner exit. Cornwell had to dodge him there, and now that gave that big run to the outside lines. The inside lane had to check up, and now Cornwell is going to be a nose ahead here through 1 and 2 with his teammate Gratton down below, but definitely an interesting a little bit of a shot there for that 18 machine as he tried to hold him to it.
Trying to stay focused as well as he can as the 18 machine is doing everything possible to try to get the 8 moving. And right now, starting to see a lot more shuffling in that lead group. Outside lane, trying to make some movements and the giant checkup. So a lot of drivers now trying to give each other a lot more space, recognizing, all right, let's not make the same mistake that brought out our first caution of the day.
Yeah, they definitely don't want to see that, and especially not from that high of a position, because we were luckily that wreck before was in the back pretty much the last few positions. It saved Timmy McNally, but it was definitely a wreck that could have been way bigger if it would have happened farther up in the pack. So the driver's going to be looking out for that moment. But we got some interesting positions here now. Is that number 18, Andrew Medlin? We saw that moment he had. We're going to get to see what the composure's like here on his driver cam, Sam.
As we get to see Andrew Medlin, who's been kind of our driver cam here at the Stars and Stripes all of last season, coming back for another season, is that of now the 18, formerly the 12, as he is riding right on board with that of Jason Gratton, but he's going to be playing nice. He's not pushing the leader of this lane. He is the driver that is third in line. Having that Randy Cornwell in front of this 8, gotta be patient, and he can't be, breaking rule number 1, which is push the pusher.
Yeah, that's exactly. It took the words out of my mouth, Sam. That is the number 1 rule with these cars, especially. I mean, we see it sometimes in the other manufacturers. It still, though, causes issues. When you're pushing that pusher, it kind of just, sandwiches that car in the middle and puts them in an awkward position. So right now, Medlin's doing a smart job laying off that back bumper and letting those 2 push up ahead of him. But, they're wrecking behind.
No! Hard contact to the outside wall. That's going to be Mike Lynch, who's going to be sent up, and we are going to be seeing our second yellow of the day, and it's a melee through 3 and 4, and a huge launch to that outside wall. And, man, that is just showing how quickly we can see a wreck, as it was a bad bump on the outside, but the 2 machine gets the worst of it, as that of Mike Lynch struggles to hold on. But man, it was the 42 that got a really bad bump for himself, as we're going to be taking a look here of different views from different drivers' perspectives. But the 15 of Christopher Wade, certainly he got a nice view of what happened in front of him as he got ran over brutally here. And you see the outside lane, a big checkup. The 42 is going to come down, clip the 2, which launches him up, and everyone else trying to check up, just nowhere to go. And they continue to pile in.
Yeah, just the, check up there from the 15, and you can see again, like the wedge effect that those cars have there is that 97 into the back bumper of the 15 there, Christopher Wade. And that was wild to see there, man, is it just shows you, again, those checkups. That's what caused the earlier wreck. Again, that is the culprit there, is multiple drivers involved with it. And I think it was the 41 of Jonathan Woods who got into Ed Perry, who was checking up for the incident ahead of him. That kind of started it all there with Mike Lynch right ahead of him.
Runner right on board with the 17 machine. This is Dylan Grimm trying to slow down, goes down to the apron and sees a car flipping in front of him. That's actually going to be Zachary Nelson, who gets tossed up, then comes back down, and everyone trying to avoid the best that they can. But man, it's just the violence of that wreck showing how brutal it can be. And what's interesting, we've seen a couple of decent wrecks already here tonight, but Mike Lynch going to be the first driver that officially gets a required damage flag, just showing these cars can certainly show a beating and can handle it. It's going to be a big launch and hit like we saw by the two that's going to force you to have come into pit road. And for Mike Lynch, sadly, it looks like he's going to have to take the tow and get the damage repaired that way.
Yeah, that is a tough break there for Mike Lynch. And, that's the one thing that's newer here on iRacing too, is that damage model. These cars were one of the first to really get the damage model. So they've definitely been updated probably the most of any oval car, I would say. And when it comes to those wheel hits, you can break a wheel very, very easily here with that hub on these cars. And then you're going to be sitting on the side of the road looking for someone to help you. And luckily, Lynch was able to get back to pit road, but he's definitely going to have to be using that fast repair here for himself. So we'll see if that works out for him. But still sitting on pit road, hopefully didn't haven't used that fast repair before.
And going to be now two drivers that have used their fast repairs. That's going to be Tim McNally, who we saw under green flag, caught up in a wreck, and he had to use his fast repair. That luckily that first caution put him back on the lead lap as well. Under this caution, Zachary Nelson was going to have to be forced to be using his fast repair. Mike Lynch, though, he still has about a minute of time before he's officially in his pit box, and he's already 2 laps down, about to be 3 laps down. That is frustrating for the two, who does have a fast repair if needed. But he might be sitting in a spot where who knows when he's going to get back out there on track, as he actually is finally moving now. It looks to be just 2 laps down for this 2 machine.
Yeah, it's still an unfortunate break for him, but he'll have to use that fast repair to get that car completely fixed. Had to take the tow, and that takes a while here at Daytona with how long this racetrack is. So Mike Lynch going to have to come back from, it looks like, being 2 down, as the pace car just beat him out there at pit road. So he's got a long way to go, but luckily for his sake right now, there's no other drivers a lap down. If there was another incident and he's able to miss it, he will be that beneficiary of that lucky dog, unless someone else goes a lap down and takes it away from him.
Now, Zach, I want to throw this to you on strategy-wise. We talked about how this race, if it had stayed green, it was only going to be a 1-stop. But now we've had 2 cautions right around this middle zone. Drivers should be good on fuel, but will they be good for an overtime attempt? Now, we're only going to be having 1 overtime attempt if needed. I know it's pretty far out, but do you think if the drivers pit now, they would be good to go into overtime?
If they pit right now, they would probably be very well off. That's really Mike Lynch right now, who's the driver sitting in that position, who would be the most well off when it comes to fuel after getting that tow and taking the fast repair and putting probably a little bit of fuel in the car. But, Randy Cornwell, Brian Chu, these other guys up front, it is going to be tough for them. This caution helps that case, though, for them, because remember, we pitted around lap 37 for these guys. So we'll see. If it does get into that overtime situation, will they be worried about fuel? That's going to be definitely, I think, a question on our minds, not only, but also the drivers.
Well, we are getting ready to get back to green flag racing. It's going to be the start of lap 47 here tonight. And it's going to be that Randy Cornwell getting a huge launch for himself, but is that too big of a gap between himself and the 8 machine behind him? Because that outside lane, they're hooked up, and they're starting to build up that speed.
Took the words right out of my mouth, saying that is a giant gap there for him. But luckily for their sake, Grattan now straight to the back bumper. And right now the outside line only has Brian Chu and Kevin O'Keefe. So there's really not too much power up top. But Kevin O'Keefe with a great push, our pole setter, really shoving Brian Chu to the lead down the back straightaway.
Kevin O'Keefe, we saw in those first 5 laps, he was one of the best pushers, and he's going to be pushing Brian Chu up, but Chu drops down, not giving any help. Here comes the run of the massive gap. It'll wiggle by the 8. Grattan somehow holds on to the Rickemide. The big one strikes here on lap 47.
And just like that, incidents can happen here at Daytona. A split second, and it really all just popped off right there in the middle of that pack, with multiple drivers involved in this one. It was really calamity here coming off of turn number 4.
Thomas Ogle in the 31 seemed to be the driver that really got the catalyst spun around for himself. Just too many drivers checking up on the inside lane, and you've seen the 32 down low, and man, a massive wreck and drivers scattered everywhere. So take a look here at this incident, and Drivers just piling in. Layden, just seeing, blink of an eye, once again, drivers just nowhere to go once the pack is like this. But Derek Offerman just sneaking his way through.
Yeah, Derek Hoffman just pulled off a magician play right there, man. He just he could pull a rabbit out of a hat right now because that was an amazing wreck avoidance from that 20 machine. So great stuff on him there. But yeah, multiple drivers involved in that. Will Bustler there in the 6, you can see sliding. It was a tough break for him there, but yeah, just one of those things where it is so tough when things happen so quick here at Daytona. And again, it would seem like just pushing and shoving and a little bit of a checkup here and there. And there you go, right in the middle of the pack. There's a huge incident.
Big wreck, massive wreck for those drivers. And once again, getting more laps for those drivers that pitted earlier to go. As here's another view, and here's that magician act just finding the perfect opening in space. While the rest of the field, nowhere to go. The 88 tried to follow suit, and Missick absolutely was not able to miss it.
Yeah, that was tough break, but what a fabulous job done there by Derek Offerman. I mean, this guy, I mean, it's funny too because, you know, he's in the 20 Home Depot scheme, but that has classically been his paint scheme anyways. I feel like he's the easiest one for probably me and Sam to recognize out here tonight straight off the get-go. And a great job there to miss all that incident for him. But also, I look back to season 1, we did have Kyle McCoy, who is not here tonight, get 9 wins in that championship, but Derek Offerman was second to him in the wins total with 3. So maybe Offerman has that comfortability in this ARCA car that he can bring over here. And with that miss, he's definitely probably thinking a lot of things for getting through that.
Gets through it. Now we're going to be able to try to set up how you want to race the rest of this thing, as drivers are up front trying to survive to the best of their abilities, but certainly some have been up front for the majority of this race, and I'm curious to see what their thoughts are like. We're going to see who we can bring up in the booth and get their thoughts, because honestly here, Zach, there's a lot of different drivers that you can get your eyes on, but I got to say, I think Brian Chu might be one of the drivers that I want to see what his official thoughts are like, as we're going to be bringing in that of the 43 and get his thoughts on this. Brian, it's Sam and Zach up in the booth. You're up front leading this thing, but man, how are you feeling right now?
Right now, I'm feeling all right. We'll see how much help I can get coming down the end of the race here. I think Randy thought I wasn't clear there, so I don't think he was happy with me, but I think I remember checking up for him. He was going through that earlier, so maybe we're even on that. But I had to take a spot to go down, and 23 was pushing pretty good, so I was feeling pretty comfortable with Kevin behind me, but now it's going to be a different situation, so we'll see what Josh can do and help me out a little bit. But it's track position with these ARCA cars here at Daytona, so I'd like to stay up here as long as I can.
Well, Brian, I tell you, man, it's been fun to watch so far for yourself. How is the pushing and shoving on there? Because we know these cars, the bumpers don't line up as well as the other oval style cars. How is that, tiptoeing through that situation?
Yeah, I mean, if you bump the car in front of you, you really got to hit him square and not too hard. I think if you hit him too hard, you actually lose momentum. It's almost better if you can kind of stay a little bit connected without the bump. And those cars seem to be going a little bit faster. It's kind of what Kevin was doing to me earlier. Just nice soft little ones. If you get too hard, it's just bad.
Well, Brian, we're going to let you get ready for this restart, but man, good luck for the end of this race.
All right, guys, appreciate it.
As that is your leader, the 43, Brian Chu, that we got to talk to. And I mean, Brian's going to start on the outside. He's going to be having the strength of Joshua Robinson, who's been looking good on the outer groove. We'll see if he can continue that momentum, but hearing the fact that Kevin O'Keefe has figured out the way to go fast with bump drafting, I mean, he showed it in the early going. And Zach, I think if you want anyone to push you, it might have to be the 23 on the inside, as we're getting ready to go back to green flag racing. 30 laps to go for tonight's Daytona 200. And the pace car is off into the Geico's restart zone, and we're green here tonight.
Ooh, and great start from both of those drivers on that front row position, but Kevin O'Keefe takes the lead back here from Brian Chu, as he was our pole setter earlier in this race. And man, he's done an excellent job now to get Randy Cornwell in the back bumper. Jason Gratt now coming to the back bumper of his teammate Randy, but also now Joshua Robinson's working his way back up here into the top 5.
we got to be careful because this is looking almost identical to what brought out our last yellow. A giant surge of our front pack, and then the second group, once they got the full momentum, they had the accordion effect slow down, which caused everyone to jumble up. Here comes that run on the inside.
And there it is, Jason Gratton, the teammates there working together, Randy Cornwell. They've done a great job all night. It seems like they've been bottom dominant for themselves, sticking themselves down there. They've made moves on that outside line, but it seems like when they're together, it's down low. But the help of Brian Chu, they're not two squares. He just talked about being square on the pushing. He had to back out of that there a little bit on Kevin O'Keefe, or that could have got super sideways up here up front.
I mean, he got the help from Kevin O'Keefe to give him the lead, but can he give that help right back to the 23 as here they go, drifting up, trying to give a little bit more space. Here comes the momentum on that outside lane, and you see the inner groove. They've got a car length over everyone else, but that surge so strong on the outside.
There it is, the outside lane, like you said, the surge is there, the momentum also to the 23, but now back to the inside, the shortest way around, and the 43 up the racetrack, not helping that 23 as much as he's going to need. That's going to drop them back here, but we'll see, can they surge back forward with that outside run, with that longer distance and a little bit less wheel into the tires. You're scrubbing less speed, so you carry that little bit more momentum.
As these front 4 or 5 drivers really trying to figure out how to bump and move with one another, there's a lot of drivers in the middle of this pack that have been making some big moves for themselves, and the first of them all has to be the third car in line on the inside, the number 1, Nate Lynch. Haven't talked about him much, but this one machine has been slowly moving forward. He qualified 18th, now going to be up to that of 5th, and he's doing a great job riding on board with Nate Lynch in the 1. He's just trying to figure out small little ways to move forward. He's done a fabulous job being the third car in line on the inside.
That he really has there, Sam. He's done an excellent job here as we see his onboard perspective, and he's done it like it's kind of similar to what we were talking about with Andrew Medlin earlier. You can't really be, tucked up right under that second place car in line. You got to give them the room to do their own thing and push that 11 up there ahead of them the best they can. And Nate Lynch looking to do exactly what you're supposed to here with this ARCA car. And the one thing I'll take away from the interview we just had there with Brian Chu, you see it here. Track position is very vital here in these cars. It is not very easy to come right on up through the pack. So I think some of these guys here got to be thinking with it under the 30 to go now, how are they going to get forward? How are they going to get themselves farther up into position? Will we see a third lane start to happen? And then that's where fireworks can really start to fly.
I think also, Zach, is something that we're seeing a lot different from the way that Randy Cornwell, he was one of the few drivers that really in the first about 5-6 laps went from all the way back in that at 24th position up to this lead group and now leading the race. I mean, the 11, he had the middle lane. There was so much space. Everyone was staying away from one another. They were trying not to side draft, and it just seems like everyone's recognizing maybe side drafting isn't as big of an issue to worry about like it is in that of the Gen 7 Cup car. These Gen 4s and the ARCAs, they seem to be very much fine on having plenty of speed, being right next to one another, so no one's giving that inside lane any more space.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense here with this style of car. It seems like the side draft, it's still there, definitely. It most likely does still have an effect. But, oh man, Kevin O'Keefe with the bump there from Brian Chu, that almost got really risky, but there goes the 24.
24 goes to the inside, and also the 18 going to be blasting into the pit wall, and almost up and over is going to be that of seeing the 18 machine of Andrew Medlin sits in the grass, and he might have to take a tow with how hard of a lick he just took and going airborne. Brian Lynch as well, going to be with required damage, taking his way into pit road and many a more. Wow, what a lick that was. And the 24 of Kyle Bowling still able to be rolling, but the 18 still stuck. His race could be done.
Yeah, they're taking the tow now for the 18, and it was just that hit on the initial part of the grass. It launched the nose of that car up, and when it slammed back down, it blew that engine. And look at this, is the mayhem that happened behind it from that incident. There's checkups happening. There's the 12 of Timmy McNally getting the bumper from the 22 of Brian Lynch down into that 88. And then here's Andrew Medlin with his abrupt stop there on the grass. And that slam down of the nose there before is what ended up expiring that engine. As you can see the smoke there.
Smoke blown and not able to continue to move along, and that is really jostled up where drivers are running currently on track. A lot of drivers in the back half of the field now single filed out, and we've got now 2 defined groups as we see another look of that wreck. Here is the 18 just going through the grass, and that ramp is what blew up the engine, and he would have been fine, but that is what expires, and just showing these cars not meant to go that high and up in the air.
Yeah, that one would have definitely hurt from in the car. So fortunately, this is virtual racing there, but Medlin had to take the tail with no power there. So yeah, and like you said, Sam, with that incident there happening, it has separated this field all up. It's jumbled it all up. As right now we got about a 13 car breakaway. But that pack right behind them is trying to do their best to catch themselves back up. As now Kevin O'Keefe getting the push from the 43 of Brian Chu has pulled himself to that lead position.
Going to be now seeing that outside lane, trying to build their momentum up, but watch out for that second group being led by last season's Daytona 200 winner, Christopher Wade in the 15. They were about almost a full second back, now down to just 2/10 to that first group. And what momentum are they going to carry with this? Because we are now on lap 59 of 80, and we're close to that no man's zone of you cannot let off. You have to be aggressive and put yourself up front.
Yeah, you're going to have to make moves happen, and especially I feel like some drivers are going to be willing to risk it here, because there is plenty of fast repairs still out there. There's only a few drivers out there in the field, probably I'd say, around 10 that have used that fast repair. So there's going to be probably around 20 drivers looking to make some big moves here. So we'll see if something comes of that. But, like you said, Sam, that middle lane is where Randy Cornwell got it done before. Will we see someone try to stick their nose in the middle lane and try to make something happen here?
And those drivers to watch out for that have already used their fast repairs and are still in the fight. Going to be the driver that is in the 15th place, Zachary Nelson, on our ticker board 97 on screen, the 07. That is the driver that's already used the fast repair, as well as Thomas Ogle in the 31, back in that 19th place. Those are the two drivers that have already used their fast repairs, still in the fight. But they got to be careful that they don't get mixed up in what potentially could be the next big one, as we're coming up to 20 to go here tonight for that of the Daytona 200, the first race of season 6 for Stars and Stripes. Crazy to think a league has lasted this long, but just showing the talent here tonight, as up front, it's still that of Randy Cornwell. He used to be the race control for this series, decided to hop on and start driving last season, and the 11 looking good so far, leading the way with 20 to go.
And one thing I'm starting to notice a little bit here, Sam, is that 23 of Kevin O'Keefe, he wants to stay glued to that door of those cars down low. He is trying not to open up that middle, and he is trying everything in his power to try to pull them back and pull them off of each other, not to get that energy going. So, yeah, Kevin O'Keefe here feels like that is the best play for himself, and that right there gives less margin of error for that inside line and also that outside line when you get that much more close in the corners, and especially even on the straightaways also. So we'll see if that kind of leads to some more incidents, because I can see as this race has got on, that stranglehold of the two lines has kind of tightened up between each other and has gotten more and more close as we get closer and closer to the end of this race.
I know a number we usually don't talk about a lot in broadcasts is iRating. It's the official rating that drivers are given if they run a lot of official races. The majority of this field, that iRating skill gap is marginally above average from most. But for Kevin O'Keefe, Ross Tatum, those are the two drivers that have an extremely high iRating compared to the rest. And that's where we're seeing some of these bigger and more advanced moves right now as drivers are running around here. And you can take a look at all the different ways that the drivers are trying to attack. You could tell the more experienced level ways that these drivers are running with O'Keefe compared to those that are just trying to survive to make it to the end of this race.
Yeah, it definitely lends a factor experience, especially here at Daytona. When you have loads of experience to go back on, it really can help you for trying to formulate something as a driver and make stuff happen. But we'll have to see if it works out. But right now, Kevin O'Keefe is holding that outside line, and Brian Chu has been giving him good pushes, but it just hasn't been enough to take away that lead from those two teammates down the bottom lane.
And it's not as stable as I think that, and as close and just consistent like we were seeing Kevin O'Keefe do it himself, helping Chu get to the lead just out of 15 laps ago before our last yellow. And, other drivers slowly making their way forward. We talked about, the fact that we were seeing, Randy Cornwell, he's the biggest mover so far, up 23 positions, but a driver that could try to beat out his number back in 8th place. Ross Tatum throughout that of seeing the 21 on his experience with his iRating. Well, he has been slowly moving forward up 19 positions for himself. And also another driver that's up 20 positions started last place here tonight. Jonathan Woods is on the move in 11th place.
Yeah, we're starting to see finally some movement there from drivers who started farther back and really starting to gain that track position that Brian Chu talked about in his interview. That was so valuable here. We'll see who is going to try to make something happen. There's, the 9 machine going to the middle. There's Zach Kreitz, the first one to make it 3 wide here up front, and he's going to go to the inside of that 5 of Andrew Hess, and he's got the 41 of Jonathan Woods below him.
It'll be also getting a little bit of help as the 21 drops down to the middle lane, and it's really trusting the drivers in front of you. Who's going to give you the assistance as the 9 still trapped in the middle, 3 wide, and everyone trying to eke out any type of the draft as the 5 bounces off the wall, stays high. Andrew Hess, all the momentum is gone, and now he's got to be careful not to lose the lead draft as any of that draft, and he's just too slow. The 5, his opportunity is now toasted.
Yeah, that is a huge break there for the 5 of Andrew Hess. Can he try to hang on? It does not look like it. Look at all the momentum being lost from that car, and he can just see that pack that's going to get smaller and smaller in front of his front windshield right here. Unless something major happens to bring the whole pack checking up for him, he's most likely now lost that draft and is going to have to hope for something to help bring him back into it.
19 drivers on the lead lap in this pack. There are some lap cars that are trying to stay in touch. If there's a yellow that comes out, they at least have an opportunity to get any position possible. But we are now in the 15 to go margin. And Zach, I mean, we've seen drivers make some big moves. It seems like 5 laps is the amount of time that it could take for you to go from that of 18th, 19th, and get up to at least to the top 5. But that's if there's space and you have people willing to work with you. But I mean, with 15 coming out of 14 going across the line, that margin is shrinking on when you can actually make a move. And I think we're starting to see also, it's going to become a logjam up front if you wait too long.
Yeah, you're really right about that, Sam. It really takes a while to formulate something. You just can't make it happen in 3-4 laps. You're going to need 5 to 10 laps here to try to work your way up if you're farther back in this pack. If you're not personally in that top 5 right now, or really even top 6, those first 3 rows, you're not in the greatest position to move forward. So you need to try to formulate something here to find track position. And we've seen all night, it's been tough to do. So which drivers are going to be willing to risk it is going to be the huge question. Is, oh no, they're having a little bit of connection issues there for the 48 of Brian Scalise. And that could cause a major issue here at Daytona.
And also with Scalise, he's around another driver that we saw connection issues back on Tuesday, that of Ross Tatum. So drivers got to be careful if they start to see any type of blinking leaders contact onto the front stretch. The 8 and the 11 bouncing, and gonna be the 11 come back out on track, and they continue to melee in the entry of turn 1.
And that will bring out the yellow, and yeah, like you said, continuing the spin there for multiple other cars. But it all started around that 11 machine of Randy Cornwell and his teammate of Jason Gratton there. I think the 11 went up to block the outside lane. Kevin O'Keefe gave him a little bump.
And, you know, we've been seeing that aggressive driving up front, and finally it strikes with drivers just getting a little bit too antsy with one another. And I think as well, yes, aggressive driving, but there's no give. You cannot back off when you're that lead driver. And we just saw Calamity striking at that moment. Let's take a look at some of the different point of views of this incident, because there were plenty of different shots of the initial wreck and as well drivers up front. As you see that of the 9, this is going to be from the aftermath wreck that we're seeing here. Drivers scooting around, trying to give each other space, but drivers running into one another. There's Randy Cornwell coming back after the initial contact. And then as well, you've got drivers sparking into one another, just scattering as they get into the wall.
Yeah, that was Patrick Hasty there who got in the back bumper of that 11 that shot him up flying in the air there. And that was just from that initial incident there. Now you got the 21 also involved there, Ross Tatum. You also got the 9 there, Kreitz, and the 15 of Wade. Luckily, it looks like he's made his way through it. But down there wrecking to the inside. But luckily for their case, I don't see any required damage flags. So it seems like everybody should be in a decent position here to get to pit road and get the cars fixed up without having to burn a fast repair. So we'll see who elects to do that, but It'll also be a question who wants to go down and get tires if you're farther back in this pack. You know, we talked about tire wear earlier, Sam. Could that be the option for you if you're trying to make something happen?
How do you want to react in this incident as drivers coming into pit road? Who's going to take it? Who's not? And it looks to be the 41. Jonathan Wood's going to be the first driver to trickle into pit road, and the rest of the field behind him following in suit, which very traditional thing. You see one driver come in, everyone usually behind will follow as well. As Zach, we're coming up to 10 to go when they cross the line again. We've seen plenty of yellows, but I know there's some products out there. We talked about how that of iRacing iFlag can assist you. I know we've got other products that might assist people as well.
That they can, Sam. I tell you what, if you want to add a great product to your sim racing rig, that not only can, you know, set yourself up for hitting pit stops here, clearing your fuel, clearing your tires, clearing that fast repair, but also help control a race at your fingertips. That, sir, is the admin box, folks. So make sure you head on over to adminbox.com. Go check out their button box they got for you there, because it is one of the best button boxes out there that gives you multiple different functionalities. Not just like most button boxes where it gives you just the sim, you know, the aspect of driving the car, you know, options. This also gives you those admin options to help control a race. So if you want race control at your fingertips, head on over to adminbox.com with 2 X's there in box and use that discount code FFB/BOXX there to get a discounted purchase.
And as well, you've got your iRacing iFlag, you've got your admin box. Well, us here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, I know the Christmas time is over, but the new year is here, and why not get some fresh new looks with your Freaky Fast Broadcasting merch? We got t-shirts, hoodies, and more. Go check out in our chat to that of the link to go buy your Freaky Fast merch today. Thank you so much to everyone watching us here tonight. Oh man, we got to see ourselves having a 2-week, almost 3-week break from doing broadcasts. It's been a while. We were trying to still get the rust off, but man, 10 laps to go. It's gonna be less than 10 to go when we go green again. And Zach, this is what Super Speedway Racing gives us. Stars and Stripes, usually traditionally known as a pretty green flag racing league where we don't get too many yellows, but this kind of was expected with the ARCA car and the way the bump drafting works. 4 cautions. How many more can we get?
Yeah, that is very possible for sure. There's plenty of options still for cautions to come out. You know, it is only 10 to go right now. The lights are out on the pace car, so we are lining up here to go green. But I will say, there's opportunities for multiple cautions here, and even like you were talking about earlier, that overtime caution that can add those, you know, 2 laps to this race. So we'll see if we get to that point. I think the moves and the aggression level is going to pick up. I mean, you know, Jason Gratton now, he's been dropped back to around the 8th position here. And also, you're going to see that 11, Randy Cornwell. He's back in 25th. We saw how aggressive he was early in this race, really kind of shoving his way right through the middle. We'll see. Does he elect to try to do that here? Who, you know, it's really going to be all over the place here. I think this is going to be the restart to watch, because I think this is where tend to go at a restrictor plate track, you kind of turn everything off as a driver and you just say, okay, it's now go time, because all those laps before, they were procedural. They're just trying to make it through it, not getting an incident, maybe gain a track position here and there. But right now it is go time. These drivers are going to be looking for that checkered flag.
Well, it is time to like, share, send this stream everywhere, because it is about to be the final stints. If we get ourselves 2 quick cautions, this could be putting us into overtime. We'll only have 1 more attempt. So we've only got a couple of more restarts to go if needed, but you better get ready, because we are about to go green. 9 laps to go. Who's winning the initial race for season 6 for the Stars and Stripes series? And we're green, and already going to be seeing that of Kevin O'Keefe pulling away as Ryan Chu not able to dive down just yet. Finally, let's find some space as that of Nate Lynch just giving some room.
Yeah, Nate Lynch was given the room. Then he got to the quarter panel. Now Brian Chu going to be up high. Kevin O'Keefe down low. What does he elect to do? Looks like he stays low here with the 1 of Nate Lynch. Now the 48 of Brian Scalise. He's up top here. He's also got Joshua Robinson in the 10. This top side, though, pulling forward here is Brian Chu. Now going to be clear. Kevin O'Keefe, he pulls low.
Pulling low, and now going to be having the best pusher you could ask for, down right on your back bumper. But will they help? No, they won't. They're going to go 3 wide for the lead. Kevin O'Keefe trying to find some help. Here comes Dylan Glass through the sucker hole at 29. Basically went from 12th, now up to that of 5th.
It's all opening up now. Everybody looking for that third and middle lane. It's really starting to transpire as Grattan farther back's in the wall, but Kevin O'Keefe leading the middle lane. Now as Brian Scalise leads that lap, it is really all starting to happen here at Daytona.
Drivers trying to figure out how to get hold on to the back half of the field. Going to be the 5 of Andrew Hess holding on for himself, but still 3 wide. It's the outside lane, the 10 and the 17. Robinson and Grimm trying to hold on. Yellow flag strikes as more drivers piling in late.
Yeah, and I think that all started around Ross Tatum there in the 21. I think he got a little bit of help here in turn 1 and 2, guys, from the 5 machine. And just like that, we thought it was all going to pop off, and it continues there a little bit more down the back straight. It was the 22, and that 77 of Diego Valle there involved in that there later. And some broken cars here from this incident, Sam.
There's going to be 2 officially broken cars. Ross Tatum, who had already, believe, used his fast repair, as well as going to be that of Randy Cornwell. But this is where we got to see some drivers making some hard contact. You're already seeing the bad bump to the 5 to the 21. Comes up, makes contact, and then Diego Valle is just riding along, stuck watching the madness in front of him, and everyone else piling in. See the 42 come up. Everyone's trying to survive and get around the best that they can, but this is the most chaotic motion of the race because the 77 still going, and you see there drivers trying to just get on the apron, get out of the way of contact, and it backfires greatly.
That it really did, man. That all just went haywire. You know, I don't want to say I called it, but, you know, like I said, when it goes to 10 to go here at Super Speedways, drivers really are just in that go mode, and they were willing to risk it. And there's going to be some fast repairs being used, no doubt, as the 41 there is going to be on the inside trying to get himself back going and headed to pit road as he still has a fast repair to use with that damage that he's got. We'll see if he elects to do that, but yeah, man, just a wild incident, and this is going to be kind of the back half there of that field. But you know, it's now set up where Brian Scalise in this 48, he's gotten to the lead through all of this situation, and Brian Chu and Kevin O'Keefe, they're going to be second and third as they've been separated from that last incident.
Well, if you are Brian Scalise, he made an incredible move to put himself into this lead position. I know he's got some people in the chat rooting for this 48 machine. It's Scalise who's just been lingering in this top 10 window, has not been trying to be aggressive at all. That last restart, a switch flipped for him. He was just being so aggressive, taking any opportunity he could. But I got to say, with the 48 forcing it in the middle, I mean, seeing that of the 23 of Kevin O'Keefe forcing it in the middle, the driver that was flying was the 29 of Dylan Glass. Glass, he's now up 11 positions, but Glass has shown and proved that he can run well at super speedways. Can he be the change and really the difference factor? As he's one of the biggest, you know, movers so far of those that were inside of the top 15 to get up to this position.
Yeah, it all really opened up for him. I'm glad you saw that too, Sam, because, man, it looked like everybody else was tied to a pole, and the 29 had about 20 more horsepower because he really took the opportunity of all those checkups with drivers jumping up to the top side, trying to cover off, you know, positions there to really hold on to their spots in lane. And he just took advantage of it. He never lifted, went straight through the middle, never even got close to anybody, and then drove his way all the way to that second row of cars there right in the middle. So what a job being heads up there, noticing what was available to him and taking advantage of it. So we'll see, can Dylan Glass look to do some more of that here on this next restart, like you said, Sam. So it's going to be fun to watch. I mean, already from what I've seen on that restart, this next one's going to be even more wild because there's going to be some desperation from drivers farther back in this field, I believe.
Expecting a lot of chaotic movements as we're seeing drivers picking where they want to be. We are going to be pulling into the booth. Here is going to be Brian Scalise to get his thoughts on being up front. Brian, it's Sam and Zach up at the booth. Congratulations, you're now in the lead, but man, how are you feeling right now? You're in the lead position. How are you going to take off here?
Me and my teammates were sitting there trying to decide if I should take bottom or top, but the main thing here is just get a good restart, but not too good, because I don't want them to get a run on me. I got some aggressive dudes back there, so it's going to be hard to hold them off, but I got my teammates back there keeping me calm, so we'll see if we can get this Lowe's number 48 in victory lane.
Well, Brian, you've had a fantastic run up to this point for your rookie debut, man, so Take us through, you're talking about how you're going to play it out. What lane do you feel like is going to be the most valuable one here?
I'm worried about them getting a run off of 2 up top. But they're going to go 3 wide, and if they wreck, they're going to collect at the top. So if I can stay on the bottom first 2 rows, we'll see what happens here in the last few laps.
Well, good luck, Brian. We're going to let you get back to your team, and good luck on this restart.
Thank you, guys.
As that was your leader, Brian Scalise, 48 machine in the lows, and he is hoping for a great run. This is the 2003 Jimmy Johnson scheme. And Zach, I mean, cross your fingers. This could be the second to last restart if we get another yellow, or this could be it.
Yeah, you definitely need to cross them, Sam, because you're going to have to be a lucky person, I think, not to get another yellow, but it's going to be go time here when this green flag drops.
Gonna be 4 to go. Pace car is off. We get ready for the Geico restart zone, and we are green. Brian Scalise, that of Brian Chu, gonna be the lead drivers in the top and low line, but it's Kevin O'Keefe already on the back bumper of the 48, and they are getting a massive push. Dylan Glass, third car on the inside. Watch out for this run from the 29 machine.
Yeah, the 23 there was looking to get to the inside, even though the 48, that kind of maybe had checked that inside lane up. But now Dylan Glass, like you said, the 29 coming into the picture, that third car on the bottom lane. What does Scalise do? He stays low, now jumps up into the middle lane, but the 43 goes without, and that's going to stick him in the sucker hole as they're wrecking farther behind, but it's not going to bring out a yellow as they're 3 wide down the back straight for the lead.
That wreck behind is going to be the 9 of that of Kreitz, but we keep our cameras up front because it's going to be Scalise just being swamped in that sucker hole. Not an advantage anymore. He is going backwards, but here comes Brian Chu looking for assistance. Not going to be there as everyone's trying to get down to the inside lane. Not good to see, but Dylan Glass bounces to the middle groove. Here comes the 29 trying to take the lead as Kevin O'Keefe rides in the middle. 3 to go, Zach, as we enter turn number 1.
It's all going to start to pop off here now as they're in 1 and 2 for 3 to go. The 10 of Robinson hard into the outside wall behind this, but we're on board this 48 machine right behind the 43 of Chu. But Glass, the driver who's been making the most moves here, he's now going to get left out the drive by the 43. He's got the 48 behind him, but can we keep it together for 3 wide?
They're going to be 3 wide, at least 2 rows deep, but how long can they hold on to this momentum? It's Kevin O'Keefe going to be having the assistance of Dylan Grimm. Grimm trying to help this 23 the best that he can. Out of turn number 4, coming at 2 to go. If we get the white flag, we continue to make this race official, but if we get a caution this lap, we head into overtime, and it's the 23 leading the way. It's going to be the 29 in the middle, and Brian Chu looking for any type of help in that third lane.
Yeah, they're looking for everything, but Brian Chu's just going to be dropping back with no friends there to help him out. Dylan Glass, though, leading that second lane. They're going to have to make some type of charge down this back straightaway, but behind them, they're wrecking.
They're wrecking behind. We stay green. No, the yellow flag flies. The 1 and 8 Lynch is spun around. More drivers piling in into the outside wall, and it continues to trickle as that was Scott Rickard who gets spun around to the 32 machine. And there's Nate Lynch down on the apron. And Zach, we got one more restart. We're heading to overtime.
Yeah, it felt inevitable at the way we were racing there, coming down to the end of this race. Everybody going for it, and we're going to be in it. It's going to be extended time, extra laps here at Daytona to decide our season opener winner. I tell you, this is really setting up to be a barn burner, as they would say, man. And Kevin O'Keefe, our pole setter, still sitting up in the lead. He's done an excellent job to kind of, pick the right lane, when to do it, and when to move. So just a giant wreck there to bring this yellow out. And, man, we're going to re-rack them for some more action.
Waiting to see if our system's going to give us a replay. Doesn't look like we're getting it, as really the big catalyst that started this off are drivers trying to figure out how to get to that middle lane. It didn't work out with the 99 that was on the inside, bouncing up of Doug Pierce and making contact with a middle that then bounced to the outside and collected over that of 10 different drivers, a lot with heavy damage. And over that of, the numbers continue to trickle in, but Zach, over about 10 drivers or more with required damage at this point of the race, one of the most biggest melees that have ended the night for the majority of drivers.
Yeah, it's an early end right before the finish for them, so it's going to be a tough break for them as they're going to try to bounce back next week. But I tell you, that's just Daytona, that's Talladega, that's how super speedway action plays out a lot of times, and you're just kind of an innocent bystander. So they'll head to Texas next week looking to try to rebound from that incident, but Yeah, I mean, you're going for everything there. You know the options that are on the table. This could be your chance to lock yourself even into the playoffs. So you risk it. You know, you go for it. There's no reason not to. And sometimes you're just an innocent bystander, even just sitting there riding along. So you know, it's one of those deals. But it's how super speedway racing plays out. But yeah, if you thought it was wild before, it's going to get even more wild. And I got to say, it's crazy to see some of these guys up here. Dylan Grimm up to second. He was involved in our very first yellow of this race at the very back of the pack. He's somehow found his way to the front.
I mean, also, you think of Zachary Nelson. He was just involved with a wreck, what, 2-3 wrecks ago? You got Trey Jackson, who was also somewhat involved in that first incident. You've got the 48, who's been figuring out his way to get up there. I think the driver in my eyes, though, it's got to be George Kovacic in 7th place. He found his way to get 2nd place at Talladega, the last super speedway race that we got to cover here at Stars and Stripes back in Season 5. Does the 66 have a little bit of magic to place himself up in the top 3 to finish this one out, as we are going to be having just one restart. This is it, the final go. We only have one overtime attempt. If we get a caution on that first lap, we will end the race under yellow. But if we get the white flag, we finish this thing out under green. And oh, the nerves are starting to kick in for these drivers. I know they're kicking up for me on how will this race end, because it easily could go under green, but Zach, that yellow flag just seems to be lingering that we might not finish this race under that green flag condition.
Yeah, we're going to have to go 2.5 miles without an incident, which when you only have 2 laps left, you know, that's tough to do personally at a place like this with how these cars push, with just the options you have available to you. You know, Talladega, the super speedway there, it's much wider here than Daytona. Daytona, you really only have the chance to go, you know, 3 wide and feel somewhat comfortable. But, you know, sometimes we see them even try to do 4 wide here. So, you know, we could see if there is any types of checkups, if not a great restart from some lane or any type of, you know, hiccup, it really can shake things up, and it can quickly turn into a melee at that point. And then you're just trying to hope that you can get to the white flag if you're, you know, in the good position, or if you're in a very good position like the lead, maybe even see that yellow flag here for Kevin O'Keefe that would, you know, end it under caution, but you would take that win either way. It doesn't matter how it comes as a driver. You want to get the checker flag. It doesn't matter if it's under yellow or under green flag conditions. So we'll see how it all shakes out as they pace down the back straightaway. Kevin O'Keefe, I think, has done an excellent job so far to kind of been the driver that is, you know, kept himself up front all night long. He's really just been there, and you got to keep that stay in power if you want to be in the right position here at the end. But he's going to have some hungry drivers right on that back bumper.
Kevin O'Keefe and Dylan Grimm are the only drivers that qualified inside of the top 10 and are still in the top 10. Can they stay there? Let's find out. If you have not shared this stream yet, well, this is your last time to do it, because this is the final restart. The start of the season for the Stars and Stripes series. The ARCA cars have already proven it can get exciting real quick, and they bring out a yellow just this fast. And it's time to see who is winning and starting the season on the right side here tonight. It's going to be Kevin O'Keefe, Dylan Grimm, Dylan Glass, Zachary Nelson, Trey Jackson, your top 5. Also going to be seeing Scalise and others, waiting to see how it goes. Kevin O'Keefe, a huge launch for himself in the 23, not even waiting for anybody. That is a massive gap that he's hoping that everyone else wrecks behind.
Yeah, this is an interesting call here from him. He didn't want it all stacked up, apparently. He wanted them to build up the runs, but we'll see. It didn't really work out too bad for him here, as now Glass is on the back bumper. You also got the 17 jump down low of Dylan Grimm, but here comes the 97, which is the 07 on screen, but Dylan Glass going to jump out in front of him here as the outside line is charging. Keefe doesn't have no help, but the 17 is turned.
Dylan Grimm going to be shoved down on the inside. We stay green for now, but will he come back up on track? It's going to be seen. That is Zachary Nelson. Dylan Glass holding for now. And here comes Christopher Wade, the winner from last season. The 15 is going to be in 5th place, holding on. Will we get the white flag? If we do, we race this thing to the checkered as they hold steady, coming through the tri-oval. It's going to be that of Nelson. Glass. Here comes O'Keefe. It's the freaky fast white flag. They're racing it to the end.
Glass gets put in the sucker hole in the middle with no help till Grattan gets to him, and Kevin O'Keefe with the big move around the outside, side by side with Zachary Nelson through 1 and 2. Who's going to come back to the checker flag with this win? We're going to have to ride over here because they're wrecking behind them, but the group up front is still going to be battling as this 3 wide all around.
It's our top 7, all going to be here. It's 3 wide for the lead, 3 wide for that at 4th, as here comes that of Brian Scalise going to be on the outside, the 48, looking for help. O'Keefe's going to be in the middle. It's Zachary Nelson on the bottom. Who's going to give the better launch and the better bump out of turn number 4? And Nelson gets spun around. O'Keefe goes around. So no, it's going to be Christopher Wade. Wade, back-to-back Daytona 200 winner.
What did we just see there, folks? That was one of the most wild finishes. Christopher Wade, like you said, back-to-back. And now the only 2-time winner here at Daytona. And what a way to do it in fashion, man. Wow.
He was on that outside lane. He needed a miracle. He needed the C's to part, and they certainly did. The 15, Christopher Wade. Oh my, he had his teammate. I thought because Ken Campbell wasn't here, Christopher Wade was going to need someone to help him out. He did it all on his own. The rest of the field wiped themselves clean. And the 15, the only one looking clean, crisp, and he gets to burn it down here tonight.
What an impressive finish from the 15. And man, that just amazing finish there. But also Andrew Hess coming second, Scott Rickard in third. Like, these are guys that literally had, incidents in this race that were involved in multiple of them, even just recently. And they just made it through the pack there to get to that. And that just shows you at Daytona, when there's a melee happening, you're coming to the checker flag, anything is still on the table. And Christopher Wade, once again, showing his super speedway prowess, he is going back to victory lane.
He gets to have some fun burning it down. And for us up in the booth, wow, what an absolute barn burner that one was. We're going to step away. When we come back, we'll talk to our top 2 and another driver as well. We'll be back in just a few moments. The Freaky Fast Post-Race Show. We'll be back in a few. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show on Freaky Fast Broadcasting for the Stars and Stripes ARCA series for season 6, the Daytona 200. We saw this guy win it last season, but man, oh man, what a run he had tonight. Christopher Wade, congratulations. You are now the first two-time Daytona 200 winner. You did it last season. You do it this season. Man, how are you feeling after that?
Oh man, I'll tell you, I'm feeling absolutely great, man. I didn't even take a fast repair or anything, so I had all that damage, and I came back and still won it. So that is just absolutely amazing.
What a wild finish, Christopher. I tell you what, man, first off, congrats, like Sam, back to back and the first two-time winner at Daytona now. That's got to feel great. I mean, now, how does it feel even now if if you make 13 of the 15 races, you've got the playoff position now? Does that open up even opportunities for later in this race for you?
I'm not a really big fan of these playoffs, but we're gonna give it all we got, that's for sure. In these cars, it's been a while since we drove them. It's been pretty much 2 years for me that we drove them, and we hadn't drove them since season 1. So we're gonna see how it's gonna go. But I was pretty decent. It was the first season. I mean, it was first season with these cars, and it took me a while to get competitive with them. I think I was like 10th or something, or pretty much every race, a top 10 at least. But we're gonna try to be competitive this season, pretty sure.
I mean, Chris, we got to see the parts kind of shake up there for you. You were battling there, trying to get through that madness. What was going through your mind coming to the white flag, recognizing, all right, you might not have any moves to try to go for that win, and then it's wide open for you?
Oh yeah. It was. I definitely didn't want to be up at the very top. That's for sure. The middle seemed to be working, and I did have that damage as well, so it didn't really suck up to them in the corners like I wanted to, and but yeah, I definitely won the middle there. But as soon as they all started wrecking, I was like, please don't hit me or anything. And it was, as soon as they all wiped out and it was open field, I was like, yes, it's all mine.
Well, Chris, congratulations again on becoming a two-time Daytona 200 winner. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
I want to thank my mom and dad and everyone that helps with the league, Nate and all those guys, my teammates, Randy, Zach, and Jason, and came back with the number 15. Gotta give a shout out to him. That's where all that extra horsepower came from at the end as well, and his family, all his mom and his wife and all those guys, his kids. Such an awesome guy. I wish he was here with me to finish that 1 and 2 again, but yeah, this is amazing. And you guys for putting on the awesome broadcast as always, and my girlfriend, Chelsea.
Thank you for giving us the show that we get to scream out and call. That's Christopher Wade in the 53. Congratulations on your win, and go have fun celebrating this one.
Thank you, guys.
As we go from our victory lane, we'll talk to second place. We got Andrew Hess, who had a wild race for himself. Andrew, it's Sam and Zach up in the booth. Let's start things off. Congratulations on second place. What was going through your mind coming across that line? White flag? Did you see yourself being in this spot?
Absolutely not. I thought maybe I'd settle into like 12th or something, because that seemed to be where I'd end up all race. That's about as far as you get up, and then just stacked up, and then they started wrecking. I was like, okay, I'm just going to aim to where they're not and pray they don't come down, and then they didn't.
That was a wild one, Andrew, and you definitely navigated the best way through that, man, to bring home second. So congrats on that first off. But, I just want to bring up, the change of cars. We coming from the next-gen car. You were part of that season last year. You had some great runs in that car. How much preparation and how comfortable do you feel in this car going through the rest of the season?
Honestly, I feel like this car, maybe the Xfinity car too, I probably have the best feel for it, just because I think personally I'm good at saving my tires, so I'm good on long runs. And these cars kind of have more tire wear than, say, the Cup car or the trucks or whatever. So it'll come into play a little more. So I'm really looking forward to getting some of the 1.5 miles, maybe even the 2 miles, that I can kind of, I guess, flex my muscle, which means I'm probably going to be like dead last or something, but I'm hoping for it.
Yeah, we are excited to see what you're going to bring, Andrew. Congratulations again on second place. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout outs.
Always got to shout out you guys. Freaky Fast always does a fantastic broadcast, and you guys probably don't get enough recognition for what you do, and I really appreciate it. And then got to thank my teammates. They all had good runs going tonight before think chaos, and I think they still had good runs at the end there. There, Brian and Tom. So looking forward to a good season with you guys.
That is going to be the 5 machine of Andrew Hess. Congratulations on your finish, and have a good rest of your season.
Thanks, guys. You too.
As we are going to be moving from that of second place, we're going to talk to a driver that had the misfortune. He was up front, thought he was going to win this race. It did not happen. We got Kevin O'Keefe that we're going to be bringing in. Kevin, it is going to be Sam and Zach up in the booth. Congratulations on your run here tonight. I know it didn't finish the way that you wanted, but you look so dominant at times. How are you feeling after the finish that you got?
Well, Daytona's a crapshoot, and if I get out of here with a top 10, we'll take it. I'm running for points. I think I can be competitive. So we'll take the top 10. I mean, it could have been, a crash on the third lap. You just never know with these kind of races.
Yeah, definitely, Kevin. That's how Daytona definitely does play out a lot of times, man. But you were so close there all night, making great moves there. And how do you feel in this ARCA car? Because, these guys have made the switch back over to it now after their season one, many seasons ago. How do you feel about this ARCA car heading forward in the rest of the season?
So I just got back into iRacing for this season, and I've decided to run ARCA just because it's a race with no cautions, and I can get it in my schedule. And then I was invited to this league, so I've been running ARCA a lot, and the car seems to suit me because it kind of suits my driving style. I'm good at saving tires too, so I'm looking forward to these longer races. Maybe we can go caution free, and I can save those tires.
We're excited for that, Kevin. Again, you look so dominant at the beginning of this race, and we thought you were going to have it at the end. Hopefully, we could see you come across that line as the victor in these future races. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
Well, I'm a member of Track Autosports, TRAK. Thanks for having me, Track Autosports. And I do have a Twitch and a YouTube. You can find me under Rutgers Kev. I used to be popular, but I stepped away from iRacing streaming full time in 2015. So that's like ancient history in the world of streaming. So I'm trying to grow my channel back.
Well, we are excited to see how your stream's going to grow and as well see how you're going to perform this season. That is going to be the 23 of Kevin O'Keefe. Congratulations on that of an 8th place finish, and good luck next week.
Thank you.
As we are actually going to have 3rd place finisher Scott Ruckert as well, as we are going to be pulling him up into the booth. We got that of the 32 machine, Scott Ruckert with us. Scott, congratulations on a 3rd place finish. We saw you caught up in a lot of wrecks at some points during this race. You find yourself in 3rd. How are you feeling after that?
After having no steering after one of them wrecks, I'm going to take a 3rd and leave Daytona happy with it. I can't complain after that.
Definitely can't complain after that, Scott. It was a wild night, man. You were involved in a few incidents there, being an innocent bystander. But like you said, you're just glad to get through Daytona. Well, that leads into the next question of how you feel heading into Texas, because this is a new car. This is going to be a little bit newer, racing. How do you feel about that heading forward into that next race?
Considering it's the old Texas, I'm feeling a little better than new Texas, but still skeptical because I haven't really run on that Texas in a long time, if ever.
Well, Scott, I mean, we're excited to see how the season's going to go. I know there's a lot of unknowns for us up at the booth, as well as for you guys as drivers for this race. I mean, take a back. You're having steering issues. How were you able to at least minimize that throughout the rest of the race?
Just try not to get another one and be there at the end when everybody else was hopefully through all theirs too. You just hope to not get in one of them wrecks at the last lap.
Well, you were able to come away with 3rd, and congratulations on that. I know you got a short list, but the list is now open. Any shout-outs that you have here tonight?
Everybody at the team and my dog.
That's going to be the 32 machine of Scott Ruckert. Congratulations on a 3rd place, and good luck next week.
Thank you.
As we go from interviews, we take a look at where the drivers finished out here tonight. This is going to be your unofficial results. A wild one. We thought we were going to be seeing a completely different list of top 8, and it gets shifted up coming out of turn number 4. Christopher Wade, the 2-time Daytona 200 winner, going to be in the 15. The number 5 at Andrew Hess going to take second with the 32. Scott Rickard going to be in third. Nate Lynch going to be getting fourth, with Brian Chu comes away 5th. That in 6th place is going to be Trey Jackson. What a recovery for the 25. Zach Reitz, who was involved with the second to last wreck, gets 7th. That of Kevin O'Keefe, who dominated up front. He was up front in the top 3 for majority of the night. He'll take 8th. 9th goes to Dylan Glass with a great surge. And somehow JC Gratton, who was in the wall going into that restart, now comes away with a 10th place finish.
Yeah, how it shook up there was wild, Sam. But yeah, you had some other drivers, I'd say like the 48 of Scalise there, who was leading, going into a couple of those restarts. He's going to fall all the way back to 18th. You also got Dylan Graham. He was up in the top 2 there near the end. It was just unfortunate endings for a few of those guys farther back in this field. But the one thing they do have at least calm on their mind is they won't have to worry about Daytona for a while. They now can head off to Legacy, Texas, where that track, older style racing there. It's not like the new Texas. It's got really interesting corners that are old, bumpy, and abrasive. So they got some definitely different styles heading up here in these next weeks as they get out of Daytona here. Hopefully, in at least a couple good pieces.
And I know everyone in the driver's paddock, at least, is excited for Legacy, Texas. And whenever you talk to drivers, they always say Legacy, Texas was the better Texas. I know drivers are happy for that. But I mean, Zach, what a season. What a way to start things off. This week was our starting and kind of our jumping off point for 2023. We had Tuesday night for the Full Send Racing Series. They had their clash tonight, the start of regular season racing for the Stars and Stripes Series. We got a lot more racing action that starts up next week. We got 4 series officially going to be running, and I'm excited for it. Zach, we got Monday series coming back. That's the ISRC Truck Series. Full Send Racing Series has their official start. Wicked Racing League starts on Wednesday, and then you also have Thursday. Here is going to be the second race heading to Texas, but we got 3 super speedways to start things off first with ISRC, that of Full Send, and as well Wicked. There is still some more great racing action to be seen here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting.
That there is, man. It's super speedways always tend to dominate the early portion of the schedule, so it gives you that wild start and that kind of crapshoot finish there that a lot of people look forward to start off that season with a bang. And it's going to definitely be an amazing one next week. We got Legacy, Texas back here on Thursday, but the rest of them super speedways, Daytona, Talladega for those guys. And it's going to be a blast, I tell you, not only for us up here in the booth, but hopefully for everybody tuning in, because you got to see what happened here tonight. Come back another night when we're live again, and you get to see more great racing action, because I'm telling you, every single one of these leagues that we do is amazing. It is just classic action and so good, all the way down to the very checkered flag. So it's going to be fun, and I cannot wait to see what 2023 brings Freaky Fast Broadcasting.
2023, certainly we are excited for it. But if you want to take a little bit of a flashback and see how that of the ISRC Truck Series right before their season starts up, you've got the weekend to get prepared. Go watch the Long Run Season 1. It was the playoff action on how last season ended for the ISRC Truck Series. Well, if you want to get set up for that, their new season, Season 4, starts up Monday night. Get your homework done. Get ready, because it's going to be some fun racing action. But for the Stars and Stripes Series, I know the chat was getting a little bit vocal on who they wanted to win here tonight. I don't think anyone predicted it would be Christopher Wade in the 15. He becomes the first 2-time Daytona 200 winner. And now, if he can run all the laps and all the races, he will be locked into the playoffs. The question is, who will take the second race? Could it be Wade again, or will it be someone else? I'll get all the action and all the answers here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. For myself, Sam Dyer, for Zach Hall, and everyone else here at that of Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you for watching, and a huge thanks to Robert Moyer for doing productions for every single race. Thank you for joining us here tonight. We'll see you at the next broadcast, Monday night, the ISRC Truck Series.